So, we've had new pals. Well, now we've got an old mate. This is another beer from Moon Dog, and it is a pale ale. Another one from the Beer52 Melbourne box. But what's this one like? Check out the review to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to be reviewing this beer. This is from Moon Dog. It's a second or third, if you call the collaboration that they did with Gypsy Hill, beer from this month's Beer52. This is this is a pale ale. It's coming in at 5%, and again the can doesn't really say too much about it. Moon Dog Craft Brewery in Melbourne. The last Moon Dog we had, the sort of beer can, which was called a tropical lager. Very disappointed with. Hope you saw that review yesterday. Yeah, that was the worst one. Nothing wrong with it, but it just was lacking. And obviously now I'm thinking, what's this one going to be like? Is it going to be another beer that's lacking? It's 5%, so a little bit more alcohol in it. Pale ale. Let's see what it's like. Let's crack it open and see what it's going to be like. I'm expecting another very sort of summery sort of drink. Light, refreshing, fairly carbonated. It seems to be the sort of theme, I suppose, this month. But beer in a glass, yeah. I mean, it looks similar to yesterday's. It's got a sort of, I'd almost say it's got a yellowy orange with almost a slight greeny sort of appearance to it. We've got a one finger head. Looks very sort of carbonated. Looking at the sort of state of that head, yeah. It looks like a pale ale. Let's see what it smells like. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more sort of slightly almost like almost like a peachy sort of aroma to this one. But it's it struggles to really sort of let itself breathe. It's still a little bit lacking in terms of the aroma. So let's try it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, I mean, I was right in terms of it's very carbonated. It's quite fizzy in the mouth, so that because of the fizziness, that almost like it's difficult to really grab the flavours from there. But it has got a slight peachiness to it, but it's nowhere near that sort of stone fruit that you get with a really sort of big IPA or a double IPA. I mean, this is obviously a pale ale. Let's go in again. Again, it's pleasant, but the flavour is just very lacking. They make it difficult for me because it's really just difficult to describe. It's difficult to get over that carbonation. It's quite fizzy. So if you like lagers and you want something else, you'd probably get a lot of enjoyment from this. There is it's slight peachiness. Tropical notes, not really. Citrus notes, not really. Maybe peach, passion fruit a little bit. Maybe a bit of orange sort of flavour in there. Again, already we're getting to the point where the head is literally sort of dying on its backside there, really. Easy to drink. Very little bitterness. It's a bit thin. It's less thin and watery than yesterday's one. But it's that prickly sort of carbonation in there that really sort of stops the flavour sort of, coming out a little bit. And it almost just tastes like a very sort of fizzy beer, basically. It's like a lager with a slight flavour. Again, it reminds me of some of those early craft beers that I drank from places like, Lidl and Aldi, when you were paying, £1, £1.25 for a can of it. In that you think, it's a bit different than my normal sort of lager that I drink, but it's still a million miles away from an IPA. It's still a million miles from a really good pale ale, from the likes of sort of Daya or Track or Polly's. It's just a little bit thin. It's a little bit too fizzy. I'm sure, if you went to Australia and you went to Aldi, you'd probably find Moon Dog on their shelves. It just feels like a very sort of entry point for craft beer. I don't think that you'd go to Melbourne. I mean, I don't know if there's any Australians watching this, or anyone who's been to Australia recently, been to Melbourne, got into craft beer over there, whether you've had Moon Dog, whether it's maybe available on, on tap in a lot of places, in pubs and bars there. Because to me, it just, I'm starting to get the impression that someone like Moon Dog they may be a big player in Melbourne, but at the same time, they may be your sort of, your Brewdog and your Tiny Rebel, that sort of thing, where they make so much beer that they sort of lose their way. They don't really have a real strong characteristic, and they don't really have a real good flavour. And this is a little bit lacking. I wonder what their IPAs are like, for example. Again, it's not horrible, but it's just very, very difficult. It's difficult for me to describe it because it's just a little bit watery, a little bit lacking in flavour. But let's get some scores, shall we? Okay, the scores are in for Old Mate. It's from Moon Dog. It's a Melbourne beer from Beer52 Melbourne box this month. It's a pale ale. It comes in at 5%. The scores are going to be a little bit similar from yesterday's other Moon Dog Tropical Lager, the beer can as it was called. So in terms of aroma, again, lacking. There's a slight fruitiness to it, but there's not much else. So I'm giving it 9 out of 20 for aroma. Appearance, yep, again, it's a little lacking in terms of its appearance. It's dying there. It's a bit thin. It's a bit watery. It's a bit fizzy, and you can see the sort of the fizziness on there. So I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour wise, it's a little bit better than the yesterday's beer can. It's got It certainly tastes more like a pale ale, but it's got a subtleness of peach. That's the flavour that I can pick out. There's not really much else. It's not overly citrusy. It's not overly tropical. It's just got, it's almost like someone's put a little bit of peach flavour in it to give it that slight peach flavour. It doesn't taste natural, but it's not unpleasant. So I'm giving it 30 for flavour. Value for money, again, we're on the 330 cans, 5%. It's just lacking. I can't, I don't want to keep saying it, but I think that these beers are like the sort of entry point for craft beer, and I think our Beer52 sort of pulling the wool over our eyes a little bit, saying, oh yeah, these great, but Moon Dog, they're one of the top craft breweries in Melbourne, where really they're probably the sort of entry point for craft beer for people that are just getting into it, who don't know any better. So value for money, I'm giving it 6. And then overall experience, well, again, it's not unpleasant, and it's got a little bit more to it, but it's just got nothing. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing right for it. There's nothing right. It's difficult to really grab onto something there that says, oh yeah, there's that, and there's this. It's a little bit too fizzy. It's quite thin. It's a little bit watery. Flavour, there is a fruity sort of slight peach flavour, but that's it. And then it's sort of over, and it's, it's almost like drinking a sort of, I could be going and drinking a bog standard beer off the shelf, an Aldi's own golden ale or something like that, or it just doesn't have anything going for it. And if I had drank this beer on my first review, I may have said, oh yeah, it's a bit fruity, there's a peach, all that's different. But look at that, this is just a selection above me here of the beers that I've drank over the last month, and all the beers before that, I've had to get rid of. My neighbours think that I'm an alcoholic because of all the beer that's out there in the recycling. But I've had a few beers. I've had some good beers. I've had some great beers, and this one is just lacking. It's like a beer that you would pick up from a cheap supermarket, really, and that's as good as it gets, really. So in terms of my overall experience, I'm giving it 11, which still is probably a bit higher, but because there's nothing really wrong with it, and it's easy to drink, so I'm giving it 11. So we took the scores up, and at least we're not a Coldplay, but we are a very low quality Bon Jovi song, because we're 62 out of 100. It's difficult to recommend it. I mean, you know, I'm interested to know these two Moon Dogs that we've had, what everyone else thinks, but for me, they're just lacking. Nothing wrong with them, but there's nothing there that you can sort of say, if you like craft beer. I mean, if you drank Polly's and you drank Daya and you drank Verdant and you drank Track and you drank all those great, you know, all, Pressure Drop, a lot of the British beers that we've had, Neon Raptor, there's so many, you know, breweries in this country that produce beer that's 2 to 3 times better than this. So I'm a little bit disappointed. The Moon Dog collaboration with Gypsy Hill is still the best beer of the month. But I've got 2 more beers to drink, and I was excited about Australia and the beers, but I just feel that they've given us a little bit of the sort of, you know, the cheapest ones they could get, which is disappointing, really. Again, I'm really interested to know if the Melbourne craft beer scene is a little bit more lively and a bit better than this, and there's better beers to drink. I know one of my subscribers commented a few videos ago saying, yeah, the ones that you've got there's a couple that are all right, but a lot of them are very the entry points, and that's really what I'm feeling about these. I think that's absolutely correct. So I hope you enjoyed the video. 62 out of 100 is the final score, and until the next one, keep on rocking.